So the idea behind this is to fix up 3, possibly 4 Falcons, both XA and 1XB Falcon, and they're going to be run to Broken Hill. The first one is the Penelopy Falcon, and it's an XA with a 250 crossflow. 250 is about a 4.1 litre in metric. That car is getting done up with a fabric sort of design. So the way it happens is, instead of painting it like a regular car, it gets sprayed in primer and it gets sprayed with glue through the spray gun, and then on top of the glue the fabric material is set on it. It looks like wallpaper, but it's actually fabric, and then it gets a coated 2-pack on top to make it waterproof. And I don't know about any cars that have ever been done like this before. Kevin reckons it's going to be the first one. He's done guitars like this, which is where the idea came from. So that car has had a lot of troubles because it pulled the head off the engine, and it was shocking. It was pretty bad. There was just dirt in the cylinders. It had bugger all compression. So I ended up pulling the head off, and the valve stems, like the actual tolerance of the valve stems in the head, was too bad. They just rattle around. So I ended up getting the head off an XW Falcon, which had a 200 cubic inch motor in it, we believe, according to the badges on the side of the car, but they may not be original because the car has like every different panel is a different colour sort of thing. But we ended up putting that head on, and we used the valves out of the XA in the XW head, put a new gasket on, and re-grinded the valves, and now it runs. It works! And this was the first time it started in who knows how many decades, because this car had been sitting in a paddock or something for decades with the transmission out. The trans is a different story, I'll get to that soon. All 3 of these cars, the next 2 I'll tell you about soon, came from Melbourne, and they were shipped over or trucked over to Western Australia. And I don't know the story behind them, I'm just assuming 2XA sedans had been sitting for a very long time. The transmission on this Penelopy Falcon is a Borg Warner 35A, and it wasn't in the car when we got, well, it was in the car, but it was in the cab. It wasn't bolted up to the engine where it should be. So I ended up having to put it back in, end up taking it apart, tightening the bands, giving it a bit of a service, chucking it in. But it was hard to put in because the car had been sitting so long. There was all dirt in all the threads. Like the tail shaft threads, had to re-tap them because there's just too much dirt, and the dirt just solidified. So it was one of the more difficult cars I've ever had to put a transmission in. I've done hundreds of Ford transmissions, but I've never done one this difficult. But I'm not used to working on cars this old either, keep that in mind. The doors started out terrible. They were just like pieces of cheese, and we've done a lot of work on them, put a lot of bog and even metal repairs in them, heaps of rust killer, and now they actually look like decent doors. And then we chucked the coat of primer, and then after that wrapped them in fabric. The floor of the Falcon had to be cut out on the passenger footwell and replaced with brand new steel. Other than that, there wasn't any major rust in the car, with the exception of the doors. The doors were probably the worst part, particularly the left rear door. That was the worst door in the car. I went through a hell of a lot of starter motors, kept putting in new starter motors, and they kept being bad because they were all second-hand ones. Eventually got a brand new one, and it started so easy. So that's sort of funny. So anyway, this is the first episode in the series. Hope you enjoyed. I'll keep you guys updated on the restoration of these cars and how it goes.